the government will spend more than £900 million on sporting events and grassroots facilities to boost economic growth and keep people of all ages active.
Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy joins us now from Salford. We have so much to talk to you about, Lisa, as we always do. So let's jump straight in to this cash injection to grassroots sports. I'm sure it'll be welcome, but some are going to say when you look at the figures and at the same time you're balancing the need for welfare payment cuts, is this the best use of money at this time?
Well, I say yes, and it's a significant commitment by this government to our belief in the power of sports. It's not just that it opens up opportunities to young people for the first time. We saw that with the amazing success of the Lionesses recently, where now I have the best problem in government, which is how to keep up with demand from young girls who are clamouring to get more involved in football. It provides confidence when you have a great grassroots facility where you can go and play and be part of a team and be coached and mentored. It can really change lives. But it's also that these big sporting events, of which 500 million of the announcement today will go towards hosting, bring enormous economic benefit to the UK. So the Euros 2028 alone is forecast to be worth 2.4 billion to the UK economy. That's people coming to the UK, it's them staying in hotels, it's them spending money in local shops and businesses, and crucially, it's in every part of the United Kingdom, not just some.
Mind you, the government's own figures say that 800,000 people are going to lose at least some of their personal independent payments, their PIP. So for all the great things you've described there, when cash is tight, is it right?
Well, the point of what we're doing with PIP is not to save money, it's to reform a system that is fundamentally broken. It's right to say that the welfare bill has spiralled out of control, but the system is neither protecting the people who most need it, nor is it helping those who can work get into work. And I know so many people in my own constituency and my own family who have found the system to be absolutely wanting when it comes to achieving their ambitions of getting into work. You say 800,000 people will lose some kind of PIP under this reform, but what we also are doing is putting a lot of money, £1 billion, into employment advice. We're expanding the Access to Work scheme that can pay for things like taxis for people who've got mobility issues to get to work. We're providing specialist employment advice, and we're working directly with employers to make sure that we've got the jobs available for people who need them, including through the sort of initiative I just announced today, where these major sporting events create good jobs and growth in every part of the country. The chances of being in poverty are halved if you're in work. So yes, there will be people under these reforms who lose some of their personal independence payment, but the point of these reforms is that those people will get into work and be able to live better lives as a consequence.
Let's hope that is the result. Very important vote on assisted dying today. I think you were the first Cabinet Minister to come out in support of it. Are you going to be voting for it in the state it's in today, and are you confident that it will pass?
So whether it will pass is a matter for Parliament, and I do know from talking to colleagues that there are people who've changed their minds in both directions over recent months. I haven't changed my mind. I have a long and deeply held belief that we have to give people more choice and dignity at the end of their lives. I think this bill has had a lot of debate. It's had a lot of debate in Parliament, nearly as much time as a government bill would have had, and of course a very big public debate as well. And I think it is right in terms of the safeguards that it has introduced, including new safeguards introduced by Kim Leadbitter, the bill's sponsor. So I think it's in good shape. I hope it passes today. But this isn't the end of the road. If it does pass the House of Commons, it obviously then goes on to the House of Lords, where there'll be more debate, there'll probably be more amendments. And, of course, as a government, despite having our own individual views, we will implement the will of Parliament, whatever that is.
Lisa Nandy, can we move on to the situation which is escalating? The Prime Minister said he fears that it could escalate the situation going on in Iran. President Trump has said that he will be deciding in the next 2 weeks whether the US are going to join Israel in the conflict against Iran. Will the UK join the US?
Well, this is a moment where minds must focus on the only route through in the Middle East and for the world, which is de-escalation, diplomacy and a negotiated solution. The President has opened up this 2-week window in which those discussions can happen. Consider the alternative, where you've got an Iranian regime that has been hugely destabilising in the region and has nuclear ambitions which must not be allowed to be met. You've got an appalling humanitarian crisis in Gaza, desperate need to get aid surging in, and a ceasefire there. We've got to cool this situation down and focus all of our efforts on diplomacy and negotiation.
All right, we're running out of time, so I want to just speed this up a little bit. The Attorney General, Richard Hermer, has apparently suggested that it could be illegal. UK's involvement in this could be illegal. He questions Israel's actions being legal in Iran. Why don't you declare that legal advice publicly? In the past, David Lammy, when he wasn't in government, he insisted that the Foreign Office at the time, led by David Cameron, release that public legal advice. He said it was in the interests of the country, and he said it was an absolute right for the government to do so. Now it seems, when they're in power, David Lammy won't release that legal advice. Why not?
Well, that was a government that did not have a commitment to acting in accordance with the law, and in fact the last government had been very clear that they were prepared to break international law. We take a very different approach. And there's a long-standing convention that you don't release legal advice because we have to be able to request it freely, to have those conversations, to understand what it means and act in accordance with it. But we are a government that is committed to acting in accordance with the law, and we respect the Law Officers Convention that says that that is not a conversation that you have in public, it's a conversation that you have in private. You take the advice and then you follow it.
So David Lammy was wrong a year ago to demand that advice to be public, was he?
Well, the concern of Parliament, and it wasn't just David Lammy, it was the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee and others who were very concerned that when you have a government that had said very publicly that it did not see the need to follow international law and in fact was prepared to break the law if it felt it was in its interests, that the government was not following the legal advice that it had been given, and that advice was at odds with the advice was at odds with the government's actions. That's why there was a clamour from across Parliament, not just from the Labour opposition, but from Conservative MPs as well, to put that into the public domain. But we all recognised at the time that that was exceptional, and that when you have fast-moving, volatile situations like this, it has to be right that we're able to take that advice privately and then follow it.
Lisa Nandy, thank you very much for joining us this morning.